Hi, everybody. I'm back. I'm wearing my relaxation clothes today. Oh, it's hot. Hi. I still don't know who you are. You're always here first. What's your name? Just your first name. Put it right there in chat if you want. You don't have to. Today, I'm going to show you how to make some stuff so that you don't starve to death. Today, I'm tired because it's been a hard day today already. Um, you. It's been a tough day today because I have already said two masses, and then I stood out in the freezing rain giving out palms because the pastor said we should give out palms. So I said, okay. So it was raining, but then it stopped. Thank God it stopped. Okay, so we're going to begin in the name of the Father and the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And this hour will become a prayer. But I'm so tired, I don't think I'll be able to make it the whole hour. Then I need to spray myself with this thing here. Otherwise, it's good to do this once in a while. Put some type of sterilizing liquid on your hands. It's always good. Hi, everybody. Today is my tired day because I've just said two masses and I've been out in the cold giving out palms. So, how many of you got palms for Sunday if you're Catholic or if you're Christian? No, some of you didn't get palms. Well, we have tons of them and we have huge palms. And if you're in the vicinity, just come over and ring the bell. I'm not going to go out there and stay there like I did this morning. It was freezing. So today, before we start anything, I'm going to teach you how to make a quesadilla. Some of you already know how to make a quesadilla, but I'm going to show you how I make mine. First of all, you get a plate and you work on this, okay? And what you do is you roast the tortilla. You fry it. No, you just burn the tortilla straight on. If you have gas, one of those gas burners, uh, don't put it on a little, what do you call it? Kind of like a plate, metal plate, so you can. No, don't do that. Just put it on the fire itself and see how it burns the edges and it burns it. It gives it extra flavor. It's really, really good. You won't believe it. What flavor it gives it. And then what you do is you see it's nice and nice and because I put it in the microwave after I put cheese on top of it. You grab two handfuls of the shredded cheese that you could buy at the store. It's already shredded. So there's this Mexican mix where they mix in three cheeses. Just get your money. Well, you can get the cheddar cheese or whatever you want. I like the Monterey Jack. And so what you do is you before you put it in the microwave, you open it like this. I mean, you open it. It's already open because you haven't put it together yet. And then you get chili, but really mild chili. Where do you get it from? McDonald's, or you know how you bring packets home once in a while. It's not stealing, okay? Because you go, oh, I don't want to use it right now. I'll use it later. It's mine. They put it out there, you take it. So not too many. So you get this little packet of chili and you put it in there before you put this thing into the microwave. And then you get another little packet put to you. It'll be like for half of the quesadilla. And remember, you burnt this right on the fire or whatever you call it, the flames. You don't put it on a pan or something. No. And then it tastes so good. I haven't eaten yet, so I'm eating right now. But I showed you how to make a quesadilla. All you do is get a tortilla, one tortilla, leave the other on the side, and then burn it on the flame itself. You don't have to put a dish or anything. Then you get those little packets of chili, and then you put it on, and then it blends and it burns it all together, and it's wonderful. You put it in the microwave for 20 seconds only. Otherwise, you're going to get burnt cheese. Mm-hmm. Mm. Good, good, good. I'm sorry. Are you guys eating too? Because I haven't eaten yet. I've been giving out. I've been doing masses and then going outside and taking care of people getting palms and all that. So let me. Okay, now for tea. Um, Get, hey, nice. I made it into the basket. Um, First of all, you get really, really hot water. I mean, really, really hot. Right now, this is really hot. You can see by the steam around the top of the glass mug. And then, oh my God, that's so hot. But that's good because they say that that kills the virus. I mean, it's really, really hot. Oh, oh, it's so good. So I showed you how to make a quesadilla. I should bring the kitchen in here. I also make the most scrumptious tacos and enchiladas. Um, mm, um, so that's the best way to make these quesadillas. They quesadilla. It's really quesadillas, but mm, so good. And now I'm going to tell you how to make tacos. They're not the crunchy type that you get at those fast food places. Mm, I haven't eaten. Mm-hmm. Oh, and remember to add flavor to the quesadilla before you put it in the microwave. After you've already burnt these tortillas on a stove on open flame, don't put it in a. Well, you have to take care of it. You have to turn it over and turn it over and turn it over and turn it over. I hope that actually burns at the edges more or less. Sometimes it burns here. It's good for your teeth. You know, the natives, especially in Mexico, I know because they used to use the burnt part to brush their teeth, and they have beautiful white teeth. Okay, so you don't need to buy that other stuff. Um, how to make tacos? I'll show you. First, you brown the tortilla, otherwise it'll break. So you brown it a little bit, like this. You separate into little pieces as you're browning it, as you're cooking the meat. I use hamburger meat, nice good hamburger meat, lean, and then you get about this much. You fill your pan like my frying pan about this much, about 1/8 of an inch with oil, and then you get the tortilla, and without really burning it out like this, and it's nice and soft. You fold it like this, and then you put the meat inside, and then you close it like this. And this is the secret: you put a toothpick into there, and then you fry it. Then you open it, and it's already good, and then you put all the additives in there. Mm, sorry, but I haven't eaten yet. Today's Sunday. It's a day of rest. Mm. So I'm sorry I'm eating in front of you, but mm, mm. As soon as I finish, we'll start. Oh, hi, Martin. I think you're still there. Is that you? Right now, I'm just resting. It's Sunday. I had two masses. I was out giving out palms in the cold. I didn't have time to eat. Did you get your palms? These are huge. I've never seen anything like this. That's the best way to kill the virus. Very, very hot liquid. I'm drinking very, very hot tea. Okay, these are the palms, and they're huge. Look at how huge they are. They're really big. If you're far, far away and you don't get your palms, Um, I can mail them to you. Just send an envelope with a self-addressed envelope inside, and just $1 because that's what it's going to cost to send it to you. We're not making money on it. We just want you to have a poem. We'll even send two. And well, welcome. Mm. I was out in the cold. It was freezing out today. And because Father, our pastor, said we must be available and we must go out and give these poems. It was raining when he gave them out, and it wasn't when I gave them out, but it was still very cold. Very cold, very cold. And so I haven't eaten, so I just ate a quesadilla. Now, this is, see how steamed up the sides are of the glass? That's how hot you should have it so that it kills the virus. It really, they say it really does. Because what happens is for a while, the viruses stick to this area here. Okay. They just stay there before they go to the lungs. So why not kill them? Um, Yesterday we were talking about um, Jesus and his traveling up to meet his death. And um, eh, excuse me, oh boy. Yesterday he went in. People got palms, but it wasn't just palms that they got. They got little pieces of the trees and all that. And there was a tradition, welcoming somebody into town. Excuse me, especially royalty. So Jesus sent someone to the city to get a little donkey, and they found one. And then all they said to the person was, uh, "Can I borrow this?" And the person says, "Sure." I guess he had heard about Jesus, and it was a privilege. So then Jesus began to teach, and whenever he had a crowd, he would teach them. He would evangelize them. He would try to get them closer to his Father God. So let's read. This is from John chapter 12, verse 20 and on. There were some Greeks who had come up to Jerusalem to worship during the feast. They approached Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee, and asked him, "Sir, we wish to see Jesus." Philip went to Andrew, and the two of them told Jesus. Then Jesus said, "The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Truly I say to you, unless the grain of wheat falls to the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it produces much fruit. Those who love their life destroy it, and those who despise their life in this world will will keep it for everlasting life." Wow, that's amazing. It's beautiful. And then he says, I'm looking for my telephone. I don't think I brought it. Hmm, that's interesting. Okay, and then he says, then Jesus said, "Whoever wants to serve me, let him follow me. And wherever I am, there shall my servant be also. If anyone serves me, the follow him. Now my soul is in distress. Shall I say, Father, save me from this hour? But I have come to this hour to face all. Father, glorify your name." Then a voice came from heaven. "I have glorified it, and I will glorify it again." People standing there heard something and said it was thunder, but others said an angel was speaking to him. Then Jesus declared, "This voice did not come for my sake, but for yours. Now sentence is being passed on this world. Now the prince of this world is to be cast down. And when I am lifted up from the earth, I shall draw all to myself. With these words, Jesus referred to the kind of death he was to die. The crowd answered him, "We have been told by the law that the Messiah stands forever. How can you say that the Son of Man shall be lifted up? What kind of Son of Man is this?" Jesus said to them, "The light will be with you a little longer. Walk while you have the light, lest the darkness overtake you. If you walk in the darkness, you do not know where you are going. While you have the light, believe in the light and become children of light." After Jesus had said this, he withdrew and kept himself hidden. Beautiful, huh? That's Jesus. So he's on his way to his final hours on this planet, and yet he's giving us beautiful advice, knowing full well that he's going to suffer, and he really doesn't want to go through that type of suffering as a man. And he realizes that we have to live the human condition. It can't be just magic. God says, okay, you're not going to suffer on the cross. Just prick your finger with a needle and a little blood will come out. And that's all you need. I mean, you're God and you're representing all of humanity and you want them all to be saved and you're going to give your life for them. So that let it be. And so, I was going to tell you about this before we go on. You should drink this every day, very, very hot tea or coffee or whatever liquid you like. It's very good for you and it gets rid of the disease. Yesterday, I don't know if you were here, I showed you how to make a mask. I'll just do this again very quickly. Somebody asked about it. You take a soda bottle, you wash it out after you pour the contents out, of course. You wash your bottle out. You can use, I used a root beer bottle, A&W. I shouldn't say that in public, but I used an A&W soda bottle. I cut the top of it out and then the bottom, not too much of the top, but the bottom I did. And then I trimmed it with scissors. I cut it out with a blade, one of those sort of like erecto blades. I cut it out. I cut out the I cut out around the top of the bottle, and then I cut out the bottom. And then I trimmed the corners because they were very sharp, so that I wouldn't hurt myself. And then you have a mask. See, and it's quite easy. And what you do is you get old glasses, not the new ones. You know how you have an old pair of glasses laying there that you don't use anymore. Put a piece of tape just right here in the center of it, and it'll hold it up. And then you can go out and look like you're a professional. No, so but it'll help you, especially if you're going outside and there's people around. Um, I personally prefer a mask, but now they're telling people, well, you feel guilty because they're for the doctors. But I have 10 of them because I've had them since my operation for cancer. And so these are good. These are very good. These are surgical masks. I got them from the hospital, if I remember correctly. They gave them to me because I had an infection and I was taking antibiotics and I didn't want to infect anybody else. So So that's a good deal. Um, Today, I'm going to tell you about my life, but a private life, okay? I think you'll like it. I'm a Salesian priest, and we work for kids, especially. We're supposed to work for poor kids. Well, I'm not going to tell you where this town is, and I'm not going to tell you what the population, the nationalities of the population were. Um, but I'm going to tell you the story. One of the summers, our provincial said, after we had finished the year in college, the provincial said, you have to go to this town with these brothers. There were three of us. And he says, you're going to work at this town and it's dangerous. So you have to be very careful when you go there. And so we said, well, okay. The provincial is like our president of our province. He's in charge of the Salesians here in the West. So this is a long time ago. I'm not going to tell you what date, but it was a long time ago. And I'm 75 years old, so it was a long time ago. So there I was. The first day I got there, uh, we were supposed to open a club. And we had a person in charge, and it was a wonderful brother, a Salesian brother, who was going to be a priest. We call our clerics that are studying for the priesthood brothers. The Jesuits call them misters. Makes more sense because a brother in our society is a lay brother, and he does not want to be a priest. He doesn't want to celebrate the sacraments in that way, like the priest does. He feels his vocation is to be like a layman in our society with the three vows. He takes the vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. But us brothers, the same thing, but we're transitional brothers, you could say. So that means we're going to be priests. Okay, so as a brother, I was in this town, and it was a wonderful town, really. But the part we were in, the section we were in, was very, very poor. Very, very high unemployment, very poor salaries, uh, and a lot of drugs running around and addictions and everything else. So the first day I got there, I met our staff because we were running uh, a a weekly uh, camp. We only had, I think, Saturdays and Sundays off. The rest of the week we were working like mad with about 40, 50, 60 kids a day. And there were teenagers mainly. So I thought, well, this is going to be exciting. So the first day, we told all the kids, well, we're going to have a dance. Come tonight. It'll be a lot of fun. So a lot of kids came. I mean, it was packed. It was packed. And the place wasn't that big. It was like one of those factories converted into a boys and girls club. So, yeah, the time for the dance came and everything was okay. There were kids there who were very, very young and wealthy. One of the kids came in a Cadillac, with a heart carved in the back of it, so it was really, I mean, it was amazing. But they were kids that were dealing with drugs and they were pimps. And so kids would come in and say, Father, this, we have this, you want some? No, you know. So they were dancing. It was very dark in there. We had a couple of lights. They liked it dark. And so they were dancing, dancing, dancing. And all of a sudden, bang. And I go, was that a gun? And then again, bang, you could see the flames coming out of the gun. In the dark areas, you can see that. You don't realize how powerful guns are sometimes. And so everybody started screaming and they jumped over fences and they ran because they couldn't run at the door because the person who was shooting was there. And then I realized that it was two guys from a gang, a big gang, and one of them was the leader. And what happened was that the person who shot was not the person who had another gun and was going to shoot somebody. So by the time we turned the lights on, there was this young man in the middle of the dance hall, and there was a gun stuck in his throat right here around this area. And the gun belonged to the leader of the gang. And the other fellow was behind. He was one of the accomplices. But then I guess he thought that the other guy was going to draw a gun. So he shot again. And I Scout's honor, it passed my ear. All I heard was ding. And, and oh, Lord, I thought I was going to die. Thank God we were the person who was in charge, the brother who was in charge, knew this little guy, and he was telling him, hey, no, cool it, it's not going to do any good. You're going to go back to jail. Oh my God, what did I get myself into? So then, thank God that we heard the sirens, and so the two guys just walked away. And then they walked away, and I closed the door, and then also I heard this banging, and when I opened the door, there was a barrel of a shotgun right in my face, and the policeman says, "Move out of the way." And I go, I'm a I didn't know if they knew what a priest was. So I said, "I'm a preacher," because that's what you know we say when people don't know who we are. And so he goes, "Father, move out of the way." I said, "Okay." So I moved out of the way, and they came in, and they searched the place, and they didn't find anything. But thank God they came. How did they know that there was something going on? There was a corner liquor store about half a block away, and they would always tell the police when we were having problems. Thank God. So then the next day, I found out that these two kids were hired by us, the two gunmen. And I said, "Oh my God." So, "Oh, hi, Father. How's it going?" Like if nothing. They had been, I guess when you're drugged, you don't look like you look when you're not drugged. So I just said, "Hi, how are you?" And they came in, and we began the camp season that way. And after a while, I would ask them, "If you have any firearms, could I please have them?" And sure enough, a 38, a 22, put them in the drawer. You can get them after you leave. Thank you. And so that's what happened. Now, the other sad thing was they were having like a gang warfare. And one of the kids was grabbed by a rival gang, and I was so dumb because they told me, "Father, the pastor wants you in his office." So I thought, well, the pastor wants me in his office, I better go. Besides, there's some young adults here, and they can take. The other brother wasn't there. He had gone to buy something in the store for the camp. So dumbly, not to use any other word, I went to the rectory, which is about four buildings away. It took me a while. And so I went in, "Father, do you need me?" He goes, "No." In the meantime, between the time I left and the time I got back, the gang grabbed this other gang member from the other gang. They picked him up by his feet and dunked him into the restroom, his head into the toilet bowl. Oh my God. When I came back, there was blood on the floor. And I go, "Where's so and so?" We had hired him too. And they said, "Oh, we don't know." They were afraid because if they told, it would be a difficult thing for them. So that went on and on and on. One day, one kid was making fun of a crippled man. He was on the second floor of a building, and he was calling him names. So the man just, kind of hunched down, and he picked up a shotgun, a sawed-off shotgun, just so shot him. So when we went to the hospital, it looked like he had measles. He had all these little BBs all over it and struck, and they had to take each one all over his body. It was just horrible. And those things kept on happening. One of the kids liked this young lady, and he said, "I know you love me." And she goes, "No, I don't love you." And he goes, "Yes, you do. You love me." She goes, "I don't really love you. And stop bothering me." And he goes, "No, no, I know you love me." And so he gave her a stiletto, a long, sharp knife. And he goes, "I know you love me. Here's my stiletto. If you don't love me, just stab me." She stabbed him. He ended up in the hospital. He says, "Father, you know what? She didn't really love me." I said, "I could have told you that the fifth time you asked her." So it was a very hard summer for me, working for very, very poor kids in a very difficult neighborhood to work in. But those kids appreciated what we did for them. They never forget you. We pass by the neighborhood now, and it's much better, and they scream your name out, and the little kids know who you are because they pass down stories. And yeah, it's nice. It's really nice. And who does it all is Jesus. We think we're doing such a wonderful job, and we are, but it's because Jesus has instructed us on what we're supposed to do, and he works through people. And the person he worked through most in my life is Don Bosco. Don Bosco was a marvelous saint for his time and for all times. He was born in the 1800s, 1815, and by the time he died in 1888, he had many, many homes for the very, very, very poor kids of Italy. And then he was sending out missionaries because he always wanted to be a missionary. First, he wanted to be a Franciscan, and believe it or not, I wanted to be a Franciscan. In fact, I went to a retreat in Santa Barbara where they have their main, where they had their main buildings and their main. It was their center of their province in the west, and they had their what we called an aspirant, where young kids still in high school were in that program. They lived there, and they were discerning whether they had a vocation or not. I never went through that. I went to a high school outside. Um, I was living with my mom and dad still, and I went through a different experience. But anyway, I always wanted to be a Franciscan. I don't know. I was attracted by the habit. Okay, that's the way vocation works. You're attracted to something, and you just say, "Gee, I'd like to do that. I'd like to drive a bus. I'd like to fix a bus. I'd like to work in an office. I like clerical work. I like executive work. I like this and that. I like dance." Okay, so you're going to that field, but that's the way God kind of leads you to a vocation He has in mind for you. He has a plan for you, but sometimes the plans are nullified because of our circumstances. Sometimes we want to go to school and we can't because we were working instead of going to school to help feed the family that we lived with. Or a father died and the eldest son had to go to work, to meet it, to help uh, meet the ends of living a family life. So, um, so I wanted to be a Franciscan. Don Bosco wanted to be a Franciscan, and he wanted to be a missionary. But then his advisors, his spiritual directors, told him, "No, no, no. There's something God has planned for you." He goes, "Well, what is it? I'm looking, I'm looking." And one day, God sent him a little boy who was very poor. He probably lived in the streets. There were a lot of urchins who lived in the streets at that time because their parents had sent them to Turin or Torino to they thought, "Oh well, we'll get a job. The little kids will get, or the bigger kids, or the teenagers will get a job right away, and then they can send money to us." Didn't work that way. They were very poorly paid for the jobs that they got. Some of them didn't have jobs, lived in the streets, stealing and whatever. And so uh, there were difficult times, just like they are now. Parents sending their kids by themselves across the border. It's unbelievable, really. And so Don Bosco built places for them so that these kids could stay there. But how did he get to realize that that would be his vocation? Well, one day this little boy came in to the church, and the sacristan saw him. And little kids who are dirty at that time and are poor, they don't go into the church. Okay, so he started hitting him with the candlestick snuffer. And Don Bosco saw him, and the little kid ran out, and he goes, "Go get the kid. He's my friend." What? And so he went out and he got the little kid. And in those days, priests just didn't talk to little kids. They were very aloof. In fact, Don Bosco once said, "I'm never going to be like that. I'm always going to have time for a child in my life." And that's what he did. And so he told the little kid, "Hey, listen, blah, 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 blah." And the little kid was scared at first. And then he started making friends with him the way he knew how. He goes, "Can you whistle?" Oh, yeah, he laughed. Got him. Okay. And then he said, "Listen, tomorrow go get your friends and come over and we'll have fun. Maybe we'll run around and play soccer or something. And I have games you can play." And the little kid goes, and we'll have something for you to eat because the little kid was undernourished. So he was pretty happy and he ran away to his hideout, wherever that was. The next day he came in with a number of kids. And then the next day, more kids. And the next day, more. Till there were about 300 kids. It was amazing. And he had them all organized in games and all this stuff. But then he realized these kids have jobs that are killing them. For instance, if they worked in a place where they dyed clothes, then all those fumes as they're mixing the clothes into the dye, uh, those fumes would eventually harm them, their lungs, and kill them. And then they were working in very unsafe situations. Even OSHA that we have today would tell them, you get those kids out of there, you can't do that. And so Don Bosco said, these kids need to learn a trade. And Don Bosco was fascinating because he would take any job to make money to continue in his vocation. See, in those days, you had to pay for the seminary training. And so nowadays, the our congregation pays for everything. It's amazing, it's amazing. But in those days, they had to pay for their learning. And so Don Bosco took jobs as even a bartender. He worked in a bar. In those days, though, it was a family thing. Okay, little kids who were 5 years old drinking cognac. It was a family thing. And then he worked with a tailor, and then a printer, and then and on carpentry. And so he knew all these trades, and he also knew people who would help him with these kids. So he started bringing in machines and like a printing machine. He brought in materials for tailors. Well, tailors gave him materials so he could start a tailor school. And then they gave architecture and woodwork and all this other stuff. He was so ingenious. Plus, he taught them because in those days you had to pay for schooling too, but except public schools, I guess. But he taught them free, and he had people helping him get books, find desks, and all that stuff. And usually, whatever he was looking for, he got. There was a miraculous person who would show up every time he was really low on cash. So, like, he would need 255 lire, which was the money that they used in Italy. And so one day, this man would come in with an envelope, hello, Father's a donation. And it was exactly to a T what he needed. It was amazing, very saintly, and God helped him. And so he taught them so many trades that they were working everywhere now and helping people in town and then spreading to other towns, etc. So it was a beautiful work. And he sent some of the missionaries, the first missionaries, to South America to work in Patagonia, which had a lot of Native Americans there. And so that's what he did, Don Bosco, and really changed the way schools were run. For instance, if you made a mistake in a rule, they'd have like oh, come in, come in, Father. This is Father. Don't go. This is Father Tom I was telling you about. Say hi to Father Tom. Hi, hello, Father how are you Tom. Guys? Yes, we were just talking about you. Yeah. So Father Tom comes from India. India, and it's Kerala. It's a beautiful Southern place. Part of India. Yeah, one day he's going to take me there. He promised. I hope so. Yeah. Thank you, Father. Yes. Pizza. Pardon me? Pizza. Oh, pizza. Oh, I was eating. I was bad, Father. I was eating. Okay, pizza. Oh, well, I'll let it get cold. He said there's pizza for me. Okay, we haven't eaten yet, and we've just said two masses. I'm so weak. So, anyway, Father Tom is from India. See, he's a missionary now. Before we used to send missionaries out like mad, and now we don't have enough priests. So now we're getting people, they're being missionaries to us. We have like 2,000 Salesians in India and so many provinces. And they're at the vanguard of all of these new techniques and for teaching, and also electronics and computer science. They're way ahead of us in a way. Um, they make films that are amazing, really. It's just wonderful work that they do. So they're sending some of them here to help us. And like Father Thomas, pastor here, and he's doing a great job. So we're pleased. Um, okay, so then Don Bosco uh, helped so many kids. He took them from poverty to being self sufficient in the world and being good citizens. He always stressed that you're going to be good Christians and good citizens. Right now, if they were here, they would be obeying the authorities because the authorities have power from God. Everyone who has power, okay, and all of you do, you have power over your kids, you have power over the work that you do, you have, etc. Okay, but all power to rule comes from God. Now, what about Hitler? Did it come from God as power? Yes, but he misused it. Can you imagine if Hitler hadn't misused his power and had used the power, God given power, to help others and to help? Germany would be one of the way better than it is now. They would be very advanced in every field. But no, Hitler had to choose evil and brings destruction, and that's what happened. But anyway, back to Don Bosco. He A lot of his kids went into government jobs, uh, building, architecture, uh, tailoring, everything. So he really helped. It was in pictures and things like that. And if they brought in any of that, he would dismiss the kids immediately. If they were just always talking nasty and leading the other kids a bit astray, he'd tell them you have to leave. Oh, but you have to show love. Yes, but this is the way we show love. We don't pervert other people. And so he would send them away. But we have letters from those kids to Don Bosco in our archives, and they say such beautiful things about him, and that thank God that he sent them away because they realized how much they had given up a good life, a good trade, a good job, good training, good school. It was amazing. And then Don Bosco wrote plays too to entertain the kids, but they were religious plays. With a religion, if they were not religious plays and they were secular, he would always add a little religious nosegay on it. So, so he was just wonderful man, and his system was not repressive. Too bad that John Dewey, when he was trying to form a type of a system here in the United States in the 1800s, didn't pass by Turin. He missed that town, and that's where Don Bosco was. And probably if he had seen how Don Bosco dealt with kids in the school, he would have adopted his plan, which is called the preventive system. And that means that you make the kids love you because you love them. You can't just tell them, I love you. That's easy. You have to show them that you love them by being with them most of the time, by sharing in their games, by sharing in conversation with them, and making them really enjoy being with us, being with you. That's what Don Bosco wanted. He rarely punished anybody. He never hit anybody, never, ever, ever, ever. Maybe when he was a little kid fighting some of the dreams and maybe in reality, but after that, mm-mm. And he frowned upon some of his helpers who would hit the kids or call them names or something. He'd rather see them go. Also, the kids. It was supposed to be a safe haven for, and then Don Bosco provided that environment even for good little boys like St. Dominic Savio, whom the mother brought him over to Don Bosco to to influence him. And he sure did. Now, Dominic Savio is the youngest saint in the church, one of them anyway, because now there's new saints. So, so Don Bosco changed from the repressive system, which means, like my mom, when in the 1940s, when my brother did something very bad, and they had to go to school, and the principal brought out his thick, long 3-yard ruler. And then he said, "Would you like me to spank him?" And my mother said, "Yes." Wham, one. And he goes, "Would you like to hit him again?" "Yes." Wham, two. And that was it. But oh my gosh, it did sting. My poor brother. I wasn't born yet. So, yeah, that's the repressive system. You just punish, 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 do this punishment, go up to the board and write 1,000 times this and that. I mean, it's okay. It's a system. It's a way of doing things. But the other way is showing the kids you love them, and then they'll work for you. They'll work for you. They'll do all kinds of things for you. They'll really love you, and they'll never forget you. If you use Don Bosco's system, which was reason and love, reason and love. You don't wait until things get really really bad. You attack them right there in the moment, without hurting anybody, without yelling at them, without cursing at them, without um, hitting them. But you tell them to go here, and you tell the other person to go there, and then you talk to them when they're cooled off, and you tell them, you're really hurting me too, because I really appreciate you. And then they begin to feel like, oh my God, what have I done? That's a system. And it works. I'm telling you, it really does. I get messages from kids in Mexico and South America that I used to teach at one of our schools that admitted foreign students, and I still get letters from them. And well, now it's email, so I get quite a few emails from people that I had taught before, and it's very rewarding. I think Lucia Veronica is there, and Colleen Vaughn is there. Hi, I guess, and then Martin Sandoval is there. Maybe. So I'm going to leave now because Father came by and said that we have pizza, and I don't want it to get cold because I'm starving to death, even though I just made a quesadilla. I showed you how to make a really good one. And so I'll see you tomorrow. Um, yeah. Oh, estoy hablando en inglés y es en español. Oh, oh. Con razón se fueron. Pobrecita gente. Es que me norteé. Es porque en la mañana tuve 2 misas y un poco difícil. Pero ya me voy porque tengo que ir a comer. El padre me dijo, mi superior. Así es que nos vemos mañana a las 2. Tonto el padre porque habló en todo en inglés y nadie sabía. Oh, hi, Colleen. Yeah, well, thanks, but I'm supposed to say it in Spanish. The English is at 3 o'clock, so I better go because I have to eat. Thank you very much. Dios los bendiga. Bye bye.